Maybe because we sit differently. I sit without my knee in the cabinet.
Yeah, because you can bend your right knee. I'm stuck with a perma 90-degree angle on my until I get it.
You're like a fucking pirate with a peg leg.
I got a torn meniscus and a torn ACL in my right knee
Christ.
that I don't want to have surgery on.
Hey, welcome to Super Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
This is Whisky in the 6. I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whisky Rant Podcast.
It's a little crusty.
It's frustrating.
And it's going to be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
Hello and welcome back to the Whisky Rant Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Rob.
And tonight we're doing another comparison, this time with Benromach, an old versus new. What do we got in front of us right now?
We have the first Benromach Cast Strength from when Gordon MacPhail took over. The Urquharts took over Benromach. This is bottled in 2011, distilled in 2001, all bourbon cask, if I'm not mistaken.
2001 distillate Benromach. This goes way far back. I don't think I've tried anything this far back from Benromach ever.
I have not. And we always have our boy James to thank for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, James is going into the archives, pulling out some dusties for us, shipping them over and being like, guys, try this. He's
actually like single-handedly like created a category of whiskey rants, which is old versus new.
Yeah.
He did it with
we've done lots of old versus new.
The Lumreeks, the Glenallachie 10s.
Right.
Like we did the original.
Yeah.
And
First
now this.
Edition. Yeah.
And the 12s. And the Glenallachie 12s.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is always cool to see how a distillery progresses and how it changes over time. We will be comparing it tonight with one of the newer Benromach Cast Strengths. This is a vintage 2012 batch number 2, 59.9% ABV. I believe this is majority
sherry cask.
Sherry cask influence.
Yeah, it's a combination, but based on the color, you can tell that there's quite a bit of sherry cask in here. So we can assume that it's probably majority.
Yeah, both these coming in right around 10 years old, give or take a couple months, but they're both over 10, right?
Yeah, they're both at least 10 years old.
So this one was distilled 2012 and bottled 2022. This is the newer one, obviously. The vintage 2012 batch 2.
Yeah, they won't come in under 10. Yeah. I think that's their rule. What's cool is this one's bottled at 60.0% on the dot.
Yeah.
And this is 59.9%. So you're not going to get a better comparison than this tonight.
Do you want to do them blind and see if what ones has more ABV?
I mean, the problem is we poured them in these glass, these see-through glasses, so now we can tell.
How about this old school Benromach text, man? I kind of like the old school Benromach. Do you like it?
I like it for sure. They've changed it twice since this bottle.
Yeah.
So it went to those like funky like bottle script. I don't know if you remember that bottle, but it had like writing actually all up the bottle. Mm-hmm. After this version, and now I really like the.
I do like the new one.
I like the whole thing about the new one. I like the labeling. I didn't love the labeling at first, but it actually grew on me. The red text, the white label, and then the new bottle. The new bottle is really cool.
So one really cool thing I noticed about this old Benromach is this what it says on the back. This whiskey has been bottled at natural strength and color without chill filtering. It is a characteristic of whiskey at this strength that a completely harmless sediment may form in the bottle. The whiskey may also turn cloudy on the addition of water. They're saying that back in 2011.
Yeah.
Before, I don't think anyone else was saying that back then in the bottle. That's a really cool thing, I think, that they put on there.
It's a very cool thing. Actually, probably around this time, 2011, I'm trying to think back. I bought a bottle of Weiser's Red Letter. Like the original release of, well, maybe it's not the original. Do you remember the wooden box Weiser's Red Letter?
Oh, yeah. That's a famous Canadian whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and I thought it was like something was wrong with it because this was like way before my Whiskey in the 6 days. It had floaties like all over, and they look like little like congealed oil floaties.
Okay.
Little did I know that that's just what like chill filtration removes.
Right.
And the reason why it was more prominent in the Weiser's Red Letter is because it was a 45% alcohol whiskey. It wasn't bottled at 46% where they could have avoided a lot of that.
Right.
But anyway, I digress. I just thought that that's really cool that they're putting that on the bottle because I had no idea. And they were, back then, informing guys like me that were just completely, like, oblivious to it until Ralphie came around. Like, when did Ralphie come around? Around 2011.
Very true.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously this was a pre-Ralphie influence thing. A really cool thing, because you do see this on different labels now. Like, I think Springbank puts it on their label sometimes. Maybe even Ardbeg maybe sometimes does as well. Maybe Brooklotti, I think, does that maybe on their labels too.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
But yeah, for them doing that back in the day, I mean, maybe some old bottle stuff. I just don't know. I've never seen that on a label like this old before.
Have you nosed the old one yet?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's weird.
It's different, right?
It's weird.
It's cool. I like it. It's very... I'm really surprised, and I would like to know when Ralphie said that, because we said Benromach is like the Springbank that's not in Springbank on the channel, and then we weren't aware that Ralphie had said that before us, and I really want to know when Ralphie said that, because...
So the funny thing was about, like, saying that, you know, Benromach is the Springbank of Highland. When we talked to our boy Aquavite, we mentioned that, right? That Ralphie had said that, and he's like, no, I said that to Ralphie. Like, Ralphie got that from me.
Yeah.
So Aquavite's taking claim to coining Benromach the Springbank of Highland.
It's funny how everybody's taking claim to that. It does, though. It does. Like, I mean, wow. This old one is unbelievable.
Pretty
P-Boss
different.
in the background. He should have a pour
P-Boss,
of this.
Yeah, get a pour of this. Very different from any Benromach I've had before. Right? Like,
there's still those, like, underlying characteristics. Like, there's that grassy, funky peat in there.
Yeah.
And it's all bourbon cask. So, like, that's also a contrast. Speaking of contrast, we have the Benromach peated bourbon cask contrast up there. I wonder how that would taste in comparison with this.
We can figure it out.
We can actually go at that in a second.
I'll grab it.
Should probably get a couple more glasses.
Grab some glasses. Yeah, this old Benromach, my goodness. Crazy, like, fruit coming off of it as well. Getting, like, some orchard fruit. Definitely, like, some lemon.
Lemon, for sure. I haven't even tasted the new
nose.
one yet. I almost feel like it's going to be too different than the new one. The color on the new contrast is a lot lighter.
On the finish of this old one, it's like creme brulee. It's very viscous.
Does it say the
It's like
ppm?
honey. There's so much honey on it. I don't think
Bumping
they
into
list
this mic all over the
I don't
place.
think they list ppm on any Benromach.
They do. On the contrast, they do.
What does
So
it
this
say
one
on
is
there?
42 ppm.
Okay. So pretty substantial, 42. When you compare stuff like Ardbeg is like around, what, 50? 45, 50.
Yeah. This Benromach Cast Strength, the new one, the 2012
Batch 2.
vintage,
Yeah.
batch 2, bottled in what, 2022?
Yep.
Has like a candy cane almost, like strawberry candy cane nose.
Yeah, you get like a little bit like Christmas spice maybe on the nose as
Yeah.
well. A little bit of spiciness. I guess you could attribute that to the sherry cask influence.
Oh yeah, that's good.
A little campfire smoke maybe in there.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Definitely more sherry influenced.
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah. I mean, the comparable, is it comparable? I don't know. Like, I don't think so, because
It's not. That's not the purpose of the video, really. It's it's more of like trying how it's changed, old versus new, right? Mm. I wonder why they decided to go with a blended cask maturation for their new cask strengths, because the last few have been a combination of sherry and bourbon.
Yeah.
And majority first fill sherry, because that's delicious. That's a great pour and play whiskey.
The finish on that old one is really, really good.
I wonder This is at a time where whiskey was just starting to pick up steam again. Yeah? 2011. Just starting to pick up steam. Not even quite, like, getting popular again.
No, it wasn't popular at all that time.
Right. So there's a good chance that there's older whiskey in this.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that there's older whiskey in the original Benromach Cast Strength. I know. Well, actually, wait. If it's a vintage, I think there's a rule against that, isn't there? I think so. So it doesn't say vintage on the bottle, but it does say the date that the original. Yeah, maybe.
It says distilled and bottled, so
distilled
I think
2001.
I think it's legit to the age.
Yeah. Interesting.
But are you saying that it drinks older?
It does drink older.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm going to try the contrast, and they're about the same age.
So this old Benromach definitely shines on the finish for me. I mean, it's crazy good. It's like cake. It's like lemon cake, and like it's like you're eating lemon cake beside a campfire.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a great depiction. There's way more icing sugar in the new contrasts. Mm. I think Benromach really shines with just bourbon cask. It really, really does. The distillate is fantastic, and it works really well with bourbon cask.
It's a good thing to be good at, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the true showcase of a whiskey. Like, have you ever had that Macallan that was purchased by a independent bottler that was just bourbon cask? Have you ever tried that one?
Did I try that?
I know I did, and
it was
garbage,
I was
not impressed.
It was garbage.
Yeah, I was not impressed. Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, bourbon cask influence shows the quality of the distillate. Like, there's no escaping that.
There's some distillates, obviously, like Macallan. You know, they don't do just X bourbon for a very good reason,
right?
Because it's trash.
Exactly.
Their distillate works better or best with sherry.
With sherry.
And even if they put a little bit of X bourbon or American oak or whatever in there, it's not that good.
You know what the absolute worst without sherry influence is, in my opinion?
What?
Glendronach. There's like 5 or 6 other Glendronachs that are not sherry cask influence that I've tried, if not more, and none of them have been good.
Think of one of the worst whiskeys I've ever tried in my life, and it was a Glendronach peated port.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh God, that was so bad.
Their Madeiras sucked. There's a few that I had that were like older whiskeys, 18, 19 years old, and they all sucked.
Yeah.
Their towny ports, not good. Glendronach is the worst distillate in the market, and they're just getting really, really good sherry cask.
Yeah, I mean...
That must be what it is.
Yeah.
Or it only works with sherry cask.
We've had some hit and miss Glendronach single casks in our day. Mm-hmm. Been some great ones. Been some like, I paid way too much money for this.
Yeah.
Dude, the tobacco note I get on this Glendronach Constraints Peat Smoke is crazy.
It's delicious.
It's like it's tobacco leaf.
Tobacco leaf and icing sugar.
Ooh, that's so good.
Right? Like that white powder sugar that like my mom used to mix with I don't know what to like get like coat. I don't know if that's an Italian thing.
Is that when you like, you got like a cake and you're like just hitting the powdered sugar stuff off of it?
Yeah, so Italians, they mix it with like, I think water and something else, and it becomes like a topping for a cake. And it like kind of like sticks to it.
Okay, so yeah, we were talking about something different, but I get what you're saying. It is very like icing sugar forward.
Yeah. These are all good, man. Benromach, like, it's so sad because they've been around forever, and it took us forever to get into Benromach.
Yeah, you know what? I have an old style peat smoke at my place. And I don't know, maybe they went through like a time when like it just wasn't the greatest. Like I had that bottle, like it's okay, but it's not like the stuff they're putting out now, these constraints or the vintages or even this old vintage.
Yeah.
Did they go through a time when there's just like it was a lull, maybe?
Yeah, I mean we have the 15 here. This you just bought this recently. We tried this at an event.
Yeah.
And it was great.
It stood out.
It stood out,
and it's just a 43% 15-year-old.
43%,
yeah.
Which is, I mean,
we don't drink 43%.
On the Whiskey Rant, you're hearing us rave about a 43% whiskey, but
yeah.
I bought the old one when I was just getting into Scotch, and I did not like it.
Yeah.
But it could, to the defense of clang, clang, clang.
We're gonna take down the audio. Okay.
To the defense of the distillery, it could have been just my palate wasn't ready for it at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think you have to explore Isla in order to really appreciate Benromach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Campbelltown.
It's with anything, right? Like, you have to drink enough to know what makes something different.
Yeah.
And, like, is it different better or is it different worse, in your opinion? And the more library and catalog of stuff you tried, the more accurately you can decipher that exact information.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you officially review the new one?
No.
We're going to score these, yeah?
Okay.
I think we should.
That's what we do. We score stuff.
We score stuff. I don't remember what I gave the contrast. The contrast 46%, so I'm not going to score that one. But you can check that out in my archives. It was based on the old scoring system, the other one. So,
man, these are all really good. We're and like these are available. The two newer Benromachs right now. Mm-hmm. You can get them. You can find them.
The cask strengths are getting harder to come by. They're selling out faster.
Ralphie had something to do with that. He gave
a
huge review to the 2010 batch 1, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Big score, right? And 90, was it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he went 90 on that.
Or was it the one that you have here?
No, I think it was the other one.
Okay. This one got really good, or the batch 1 2012 got really, really good reviews as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you see these things, like, they're well priced too. Like, they're not crazy expensive.
Like, what are you getting them for? Like, around 120-ish?
I was gonna say 120.
Yeah, about like 120 all in.
Yeah,
which is
that's
great.
Canadian. So like, you're looking at like less than $100 US. For a cask strength at this quality, it's what you're paying for nowadays. It's like that's good value nowadays. Yeah.
In the whiskey world, we used to be known as the guys that only drink expensive whiskey. and honestly, we've gravitated so much more toward like budget, but just quality expressions now that like we cannot be.
Well, you have to move off the top 10 Scotch distilleries, like as far as brand recognition is concerned. You have to just get those the fuck out of the way.
Yeah, I agree.
They're overpriced and the quality's dipped. And I'm 100%. Talking about like Macallan and Ardbeg and distilleries like that.
Yep.
When you move into these like secondary distilleries, that's where you find the value. Mm-hmm. It's stuff, it's they don't have like giant advertising. They don't put like stupid gimmicky stuff in their advertising campaign. Right. They just want to sell you good Scotch.
Yeah.
And that's where the value is nowadays, right? Like, yeah, it's like now, like think about it. Like we're paying over $100 for a 10-year-old cask strength, where before, like you would never dream of that.
No.
Right?
Yeah. That's fantastic. I'm surprised they moved off doing all bourbon cask. Or why they don't offer, like every year they do a batch 1 and a batch 2. Why not one batch is the sherry forward one, one batch is the bourbon forward one?
Why not this? Why not do 3 batches a year? 1 100% sherry, 1 sherry bourbon mix, 1 100% bourbon.
I like the cut of your jib.
Right?
Yeah.
Should I work for Benromach?
I would love to work for Benromach. That is the one distillery I would leave Whiskey in the Six for. Them and obviously Springbank.
I would leave Whiskey in the Six for any distillery.
No, I wouldn't.
Any distillery.
No, there's some that I couldn't like. I always like feel bad for the ambassador that like is like stuck to like a Macallan or like a distillery that you just can't like support anymore because you got too far into whiskey to like know that you're just selling bullshit.
I get it, but like Macallan's a bad example because those Macallan reps love their life because they're just living it.
Oh, they're living the life, but like you gotta stand in front of an audience, and I know for a fact a bunch of those guys are like they're whiskey aficionados. Like they know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So they're standing in front of a bunch of people and just like selling bullshit, like just lying through their teeth. Like, oh yeah, you get this like great, like no, you don't get great anything. It's all, I mean, it's good, but you're not behind this brand. You're not proud of them for bottling at 43%. You're not proud of them for chill filtering.
Do you know why Ralphie doesn't go to whiskey events or anything like that? Because he doesn't want to be fucking sold this like garbage crap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be told about, like, all this, like, mumbo-jumbo ad shit that you've created in the distillery.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear your marketing. I don't want to hear, like, you know, your water or your cask or your story about how, you know, 8,000 years ago they started, like, you know, peat smoking your shit. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Like, I hate that.
Yeah, and I love like the water one he uses a lot.
Right.
He talks about that a lot.
Yeah, like this water trickles down from the mountains, past these frog buttholes, and it's just farted into the glass so nicely.
There's a few places in the world that have like high quality, incredible water, and I don't know if Scotland's one of those places.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're talking about a place where it's been civilized for many, 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 many years versus like, for example, Yukon territories where...
Like glacier water?
Yeah, I was watching a person just like filling their water bottle with like a stream coming off a glacier, like legit filling her water bottle and then just like scoops it up and drinks it.
Yeah.
And just like, that's the best water I've ever tasted in my life.
Should we insert the clip from Waterboy when he's got the glacier water in the little thing?
That's water from a glacier in Alaska. It was blessed by an Eskimo medicine man.
H2O. No, I like... Two Brewers is doing a bunch of things right, but it is no, like... They're actually legit getting their water from glaciers. Yeah. Shelter Point's legit getting their water from a glacier in a mountain. You know what I mean? Like, is any Scottish distillery actually doing that? They got to give themselves more credit. They got to stop talking about their water and saying like we're just that good, that we're the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you don't have your own bottling facility, that means that you're taking your spirit to a bottling plant.
Right.
And then you're at their mercy for whatever water they have there, right? Because you're taking it there in like a big vat, like a steel drum. What do they take it in, like steel drums or something? I don't even know.
Plastic vats, yeah.
Whatever, they bring it in a big vat. It's at cask strength, right? And they're watering it down at the bottling plant when they bottle it. So
yeah, their distillate is coming off of their own water supply and their own stills.
Yes.
But then if they're taking it to a bottling plant, like you said, they're reducing
water.
It to 46%.
Yeah.
Then they have to add water.
Right, so that you're at the mercy of the bottling plant's water when you're not doing cask strength.
It's distilled water. It's fine. It doesn't matter what it is.
I'm sure it's good water. I'm sure it's like very much nicely, you know, I'm sure they're checking it all the time. It's very good water, but like at the end of the day.
Speaking of water, this is like way off topic, but this kind of reminds me of, I was drinking Dasani the other day. And I was drinking...
Is that an Italian name?
I don't think so. It's from... it's a Coke product. I
know it's a Coke product, but like, what's the name mean?
Dasani? I don't. I think I'm just pronouncing it like an Italian, like an Italian.
Are you drawn towards it because you think it might be Italian?
No, I'm not actually. I used to hate it, and then I was drinking it the other day, and I forget it might have been Silent Bob in the background here, but
yeah.
As I was drinking it, I'm like, did they change this water? Like, is it better for some reason? It got better. Yeah. It did get better. I don't know what happened, but it's gotten better.
One thing I noticed about, we're on the topic of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola, the flavor profile has changed since COVID in Canada. Remember like going to the U.S. maybe when you were younger and drinking like an American Coke?
Yeah. And
it tasted different?
Yeah.
Because they're sourcing their products from different spots, right? I think it's the sugar. I don't know what it is. It could be anything. Mm-hmm. But they have changed the makeup of Coca-Cola in Canada 100%. It tastes like trash now.
I believe you. I haven't had a Coke in I don't even know how long.
Yeah, I would have the occasional Coke. Like, it's good. I used to, like, love drinking Coca-Cola with Chinese food.
Yes.
For whatever reason.
Movie theater fountain pop was always my thing.
Right? Yeah. But now the makeup is different. And
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to Coca-Cola. I hate Coca-Cola.
Apparently the Mexicans use, like, sugarcane, and their Coca-Cola is the most sought after Coca-Cola.
I agree. And you can buy it here. Very select.
Yeah, it comes
grocery
like
stores.
Walmart has it every once in a while.
Yeah. A couple, like a burrito place that I frequent used to have Mexican Coke. It's like $400. It's like $4.50 a bottle. It's expensive.
There's a place called Food Fight that myself and P-Boss go to every once in a while, and they have like a selection of really cool pops, really cool candy. It's a really good place. Shout out to Food Fight. Send some coupons if you want.
Sponsor the show.
Sponsor the show.
Compare the peat influence between the old cast strength and the new cast strength, because I think that's maybe how you're going to tell the difference of, like, this is like differently matured. How's the smoke different?
Can we pretend like we're those guys that add water to their whiskey and just like do that with ppm right now?
You're bringing down the ppm.
Guess the ppm
this
right
is 42
now.
ppm. I just brought it down to 38 ppm.
So we have the contrast, which clearly states it's 42 ppm.
Yeah, I think like. So there is a huge difference for me in like how the smokiness, the peatiness translates between the old cast strength and this newer cast strength. I feel like the older one is more kind of like this barbecue char, maybe like campfire smoke, where the newer one.
I think Richard probably is going to watch this video and want to punch us in the face, because I'm pretty sure he told us the ppm that they always bottle at, and
it's always the same.
I forget. I totally forgot.
It's not always the same.
Is it not?
No, I think they do, like, these peat smoke ones are a bigger ppm.
Yes.
Right? Like the 42 is their biggest.
Right. I think the rest is like 8, if I'm not mistaken, or like 10. It's like it's like not as much as you would think.
And I'm pretty sure they do a combination of barley, right? They don't do, when they distill their barley, it's not
like a local barley.
It's not 100% peated, right? They put some peated barley in, and they put
Correct.
Put some peat smoked barley with some regular barley.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not,
you're
it's
on.
not,
Yeah,
okay.
you got it. I would say that maybe it's the ABV, but I feel like the cast strength is not far off from the contrast peated wise.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind of, like, I find that the sherry for Benromach really adds a different element, like a really funky peat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this comparison is tough. Like, who knows where they sourced barley from, back, how long ago was this again?
Do you get...
We're looking at, like, this was bottled, like, 13, 14 years ago.
Well, it was distilled in 2001.
Yeah.
So it was 22 years ago distilled.
Right. So we're
and
talking about
the barley sourced 23 years ago, probably.
Right.
To, like, to ferment and then all
right.
that other
Yeah,
stuff. Germinate and then all that other stuff.
I'm sure the source is probably different now.
It might be.
Right?
It might be. I notice like almost like a magic marker note in all of the sherry influenced Benromachs.
Yeah. Oh, you're a teacher. Are you allowed to have like those scented markers at schools anymore?
I've never come down on a kid for having them, but like technically it's a scent free zone. You're not allowed to wear cologne. You're not allowed to wear like perfume because people are allergic.
Because like back when I was in school, we had those like.
Those are the best. They used
What's
to
it called? Like
smell the hell out of those
Mr.
things.
Sniff or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Weird name.
It's like the blueberry one. I just like
just
spend an hour
right? You're like,
nosing the hell out of that
just
thing.
taking the whiffs like you would not believe, man. Like out of control, crazy.
So, P-Boss is showing us in the background that the sherry contrast peated is at 36 or 32, 35.
35.
But this one says it right on it, 42 ppm for the newer, the bourbon cask one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's mark these bad boys. What do you think?
Yeah.
If I move this mic, does it annoy you guys? You got to tell us that in the comments. Like, I don't know what it does. Like, is it doing anything to the sound?
It should be fine if you.
We're not wearing headphones. We're not like Joe Rogan, like esque.
We could wear headphones and listen to ourselves talk, but.
Okay, so P-Boss is very useful. I think we got to start giving him like 1% of the Whisky Rant podcast
because he's looking up stuff for us. He's our information guy.
Yeah, so he just let me know that I gave this contrast an 88 based on my old scale, which I stand by. Like, this is a great whiskey.
Yeah,
it's a great whiskey. I'm gonna go 87 based on my new scale of the old one.
Okay, so the oldest Benromach Cast Strength, the very first ever Gordon MacPhail owned Benromach Cast Strength.
No, you know what? I lied. I'm going to give that an 88. I'm going to give that an 88.
Let's go.
And I'm going to give this an 88 as well.
Wow.
I love them both, but they're very different. Like, this is like, man, I don't know what it is about my palate. I don't know if you guys watched the last Whisky Rant, but spoiler alert if you haven't, I picked Jeremy's mix, and it was bourbon heavy. This is right up my alley right now.
Yeah.
Peated bourbon cast strength Scotch is delicious. That is a fantastic whiskey.
I agree.
So yeah, technically these are all 88s, but the old contrast is based on the old school, like the old
scoring system. So your new
system.
scoring would be 86.
Essentially, this would be an 86 if I had to like translate, and then these two are 88.
Okay. I would probably echo for the most part. I'm going to say that the old Benromach Cast Strength is my favorite. It's for sure an 88 out of 100 for me. No, 89. 89. Because like it's shot that finish, it is like it's a lemon cake and smoke. It's so like good. It's so delicious.
So good.
So delicious. As far as the Benromach, the contrast peat smoke is concerned, love the nose because it reminds me of cigar tobacco leaf. Like, it's so good on the nose.
Yeah.
That's just very solid. 87 for me on this one.
Nice.
And then this is the 2012 batch 2. I think I still like the 2010 batch 1. Is like my favorite one I've tried so far.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And that for me was an 88. So I'm gonna have to go a little bit less on this one. I'm gonna go 86.5 out of this one. But very, very good. Very, very good. And for like, if I was gonna score value points, I'm putting value on these, so they'd all go up to like where I would recommend you buying them for sure.
Yeah. 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 Like the contrasts are like less than $100.
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking at like around 100 to 120 for these bottles. Well worth it for sure. In today's marketplace, like that's a good price for what you're getting in the quality for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I share the same. I think I do like the 2010 a little better than this 2012. So if I scored that lower then I'm gonna boost that one as well because that was really good.
I wonder what this would go for like an auction. Probably not that much.
I don't know, but I mean it's 12 years old from the bottling date.
If I can find an auction price on this old cast strength, I'll put it here, and you'll see.
Are we really gonna regret opening that bottle? We can't.
James would be like, "Do you guys open that Benromach yet?" It's just like sold.
Yeah. It was great. We loved it so much. We finished it in one night. We couldn't even review it.
We were too drunk to record the episode. Even crazy.
No, it was great. Thank you again, James. We owe like royalties to that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Leave us a comment down below. If you have discovered Benromach and you liked it, what was your first expression that you tried that was like, okay, wow, Benromach, actually this is like really solid stuff.
Yeah.
I think for us it was like, what was it?
It had to be the cask strength series.
The vintage 2010.
The 2010.
The vintage 2010, I think.
It was the
for
2010.
us, we kind of like turned a page on Benromach for that bottling.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, I just bought that Benromach 15. Just their core range 15 is so good. And like even talking, you know, to Richard,
yeah,
he's like, the Benromach 15 is the one that we just have open all the time. Like that's our go-to daily. That's what we drink all the time.
It's funny because I actually was gonna say I think I would take it over the 21. Like I like the 21. The 21's great, but it's the heavy sherry influence in the 15 is a little higher than other expressions.
I think for me the 15 is a perfect balance of smoke. Like the smoke integration to that Benromach 15.
Yeah.
Is phenomenally good. And if you are not a peat smoker, peat Scotch drinker, and you want to like dabble a toe, Benromach 15 for sure.
That's the one.
100%.
That is the one. This is the new Highland Park 18. This is the new, like, you want to dabble with peat, go with the Benromach 15.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get everything you want, and you're going to slowly integrate yourself into the peat world.
It has a perfect balance, and I think that someone that isn't a huge, like, if they try Isla and they're like, oh, it's way too much, this is a perfect amount. It's like, I don't think you're going to give this to someone and they're going to like, they're going to hate it. They're going to like this one for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
It's so approachable. It's so balanced. It's so good.
Yeah.
It needs to be 46. That's a discussion for another day. We already had that discussion before, but
we have. You know what? Like I'm starting to come around a little. I know it's blasphemy to say, but like there's nights where 43 is just okay, man. Like I'm okay with just a pour and play whiskey. I'm watching the Leaf game. I just want something like I'm gonna have 2 or 3 pours of maybe.
Yeah.
43% okay.
That's the thing. There's lots of instances where I'm like, I'm watching a movie or like I'm watching a ball game or whatever, and I just want to like sit with a tumbler.
Yeah.
I want to sit back. I don't want to get up. I want to pour maybe like 3 ounces of something.
Right.
It can't be cask strength. That's too much.
That's way too much.
It's way too much.
You're going to be loaded as soon as you stand up.
Right.
Like you can't do it.
And like most of the stuff we buy, a lot of stuff we buy is cask strength.
Yeah.
So you need to have that like that 43 or whatever. Or even like you're on like, you know, a back deck.
Right.
You're around the campfire.
Right.
You want to like sit for a couple hours with a couple ounces and just sip nicely.
That's right.
Right? 43 is okay for that.
43 can be okay. I know. Okay. I know we've knocked it before. Yeah. We've knocked it so hard that people are like off, never watching Whisky Rant again. But this is the exception. I think that's like we should also emphasize the fact that it's this one.
Will we still do the same thing at 46 and enjoy it more? Maybe. Yeah. We probably would.
Maybe.
But we'll take this at 43.
We'll never.
We have to.
I honestly don't think
we'll take it at 43, so we will.
That's right, and I don't think we'll ever know. So we're not going to get to know if this is better at 46. So and Richard like specifically said we're not changing our core range.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe they change their mind in a couple of years. They're allowed to do that. It's their company, but for now. They're not changing their core range.
No,
and I don't blame them
because selling it, and if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right. That's and they have other options
because there's a huge market for whiskey at that ABV, right? Like,
for sure. And like I said, they have other options. You can buy the Contrast series. You can buy the Cask Strength series.
Yep.
Right? You don't need to get the core range if you don't want it.
And you know what? Those exact words were echoed by our good friend Aquavita. He said the same thing. Yeah. He's like, you know what? You could fault Benromach for being at 43 with their core range. They should be at 46. But guess what? You have all these other ranges that are coming out with that are Cask Strength and amazing, or 46 and amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there you have it.
That's it.
Leave us a comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't, and give us a little like.
Yeah.
Give us a comment.
We're debating whether or not to put a Whisky Rant like YouTube channel out. Like I've already set it up. I'm not sure if we're gonna launch it yet. We haven't fully decided. We want to know what you think. So you guys let us know in the comments below. Do you want a Whisky Rant YouTube channel? Do you think it would be a good idea to just go to a channel where you can find all the Whisky Rants?
Yeah, and we would launch it ad-free.
Ad-free.
So you could subscribe to the Whisky Rant Podcast channel, just the podcast, and you'd watch every single rant ad-free.
Ad-free. And then eventually maybe we would keep it like just for Patreons, or maybe, I don't know. We're working on it. We're working on it.
But yeah, I think it makes sense. this podcast just has its own channel.
I think eventually that's what's going to happen, because I don't know. There's the Whisky Rant Podcast is a lot of fun. I love doing it. Whiskey in the Six, I like doing it, but it's not as fun as it used to be. So we'll see.
And we have these nice mics.
And we have these great mics that I still don't know how to use properly. And like sometimes I punch it or it punches me.
Mic position will be a constant battle, I think, with you.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We talked about this already. The Rain Man moments.
Thanks very much for watching and listening, everyone. Tune in next time. We'll see you then. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.